one more fucking thing, and I just can't. Oh, yeah, this is awesome. Paint, if you will, this picture. You can use this in the show if you like.
This is Total Babble. Total Babble. It's a show about music, pop culture, social media, movies, the internet, relationships, TV, whatever. Total Babble. The Total Babble Podcast.
But this morning, I bundled up the two sick cats, and I needed to get the kids to school. So this is great. I've got two sick cats. One's vomiting blood, one's screaming. I've put them in the trunk in their little cat carriers. We're driving down the road, and all of a sudden, I am literally going to shit my pants. And so I am at a set of traffic lights, and I'm like, oh God. And my eldest son goes, Mummy, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I think I'm going to shit myself. And he's like, oh no. Oh, are you sick? I'm like, it would appear so. And so we're driving, and then I see a park. And so I pull over into a park, and like some sort of weirdo sex pest, I shuffle out of the car and I tell the boys, here's the keys. The cats are screaming.
Drive around and pick me up.
I park the car and I give him the keys. I'm like, lock the car. Don't let anybody else in. And I'm just going to quickly go to the bathroom. And so I'm like clenching my cheeks, waddling like across the lawn to just destroy a public toilet. And so I go in there, and good news, it had just been cleaned. So that was fantastic. But I got into this toilet and I was so unwell. And I sat down and then started laughing because, as you know, I haven't slept because the cat's been vomiting blood all night. And I was just sitting there shitting out my entire life, laughing maniacally at just how bad my life is. And then some people walked in, and it was really awkward because, of course, it's not okay what's happening in there.
Yeah.
And there's somebody laughing about it. And so that was also like really embarrassing. And so, of course, I couldn't like leave. So I had to stay, and I waited until they left. And I was like, when I thought the coast was clear, I walked out. Good news, they were standing outside essentially waiting for me. Like I had to walk past them as a couple of old ladies.
Like they wanted to see who you were.
Exactly. So I had to sort of shuffle past them and go and pick up my kids, who by now are late to school because I've had a toilet emergency and one's got to go to a field trip. So then I'm, of course I don't speed or anything. And so I'm just driving the speed limit saying, okay, guys, pack up all of your stuff. We're going to go to the lines. And they're starting to close the doors at school. And I'm peeling it on two wheels and trying to shuffle them out the door and just hoping that, I'm not going to shit myself again. And it's just, this is how I started my day today. And I thought, the only way is up. So,
yeah. And it's good to talk about it on the show. It gets it out, and it's therapeutic. And I'll use the overused word cathartic. You have a little bit of catharsis with this. It's like when I said I was walking and had issues, and just get it out there. What's wrong? Go ahead, go with it. And yeah, things can only go up. Life can only get better at this point. And let's not forget, Emily looks on the bright side of life. We are officially into the show. This is Total Babble, where lately a lot of political talk, and also we talk about anything, as you can hear. She's Emily. I'm Stu, and I was going to ask how things are going, but you've got all kinds of things going on, and we just got a good story out of that. You have some coffee. Well, I was going to suggest coffee, but maybe that's not a good idea. Nature's laxative, not good right now. Did you eat anything weird yesterday? Could that be what it is? Or just the nature of life has got you upset?
It's just that I'm one of these people who carries their stress in their stomach.
Yeah.
You know how toddlers vomit when they cry?
Yeah.
I'm somebody who, if I'm crying, like really ugly crying, I will vomit. And if I'm really under a lot of stress, I'll get diarrhea. And so I'm just one tragedy away from my goal weight.
Well, I'm the opposite. When I get diarrhea, I stress. That's my opposite. So
Yeah.
lean into that mic a little bit. You're a little bit quiet, and we'll go from here.
Yeah, sorry, my pants are too tight, so I'm having trouble breathing. It's probably It's not that I'm too far from the microphone. It's just that my diaphragm's being crushed.
Yeah. You need a diaphragm. I know that as much as anybody. So I was going to ask how life was going, but that's covered. I this weekend went protesting again. Did that.
Yay!
And I have things to consider, things to talk about. I went twice over the weekend. I'm very committed to it. The first thing is you, good idea, texted me the sign of Olia gargle my balls, a very good idea. And I sent you a picture of that. Somebody had that going on. Really good sign. And there was stuff that I noticed doing the protesting. And the first thing is that being a guest on a podcast is so easy. Somebody had one going out there, some political podcast. And I said, oh, I have a podcast. And we started talking and he put me on the podcast and asked me about political things. Doing this is so easy when you don't have to run it. If we could do the show and I could just show up and not have to run anything and just have everybody lead it in the direction that it goes, oh, it's so good. And so do you think I could make a living just going on podcasts and being a guest? I would like to do that.
I mean, that would be fun. Maybe you could be. You could be a podcast princess like me. You know, I see these things on TikTok where they're like vacation princesses, where people go with their husbands or whatever, and they like hold their luggage and their passports, and they don't even know where they're going, and it just sort of happens, and they just sort of show up. That's kind of you and me, except, you know, you're responsible for the vacation, and I'm like the princess.
And I love doing this. I would never not do this. And it's the thing I look forward to every week. But just showing up and just talking politics with that guy, I was like, oh, this is so easy. I don't have to worry about when we're going to move on and where we're going next. And I'd like to look into that. The other thing is, at a protest, it gets confusing when people are driving poorly in the street because cars honk at them and you think they're honking for you. Like I saw a guy cut off another guy and he was clearly a dick and the car honked at him and I wanted to go, nope, that's not ours. That's somebody driving poor. I saw that happen a couple times and it's something to consider when you're doing a protest.
It is something to consider. And isn't it interesting how after a while, you do get to be able to discern the difference between honks.
Yeah. And sometimes the dumb will drive by you giving you the finger and honking because they think they're pissing you off and they don't understand the nature of the protest and think that they're honking to piss you off. And you go, oh, you're helping me. This is good. Thanks for the help, though you're giving me the finger. Not everybody can see that. And you're furthering our cause. So fuck you, too. Also... oh, there's this. I was leaving one of the protests and I was walking behind this woman and I heard this sound, thunk, 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 thunk. And she had a noisemaker because people go out there and they make noises when they're screaming and yelling. And she, I think, had a cowbell in her purse. And as she was walking, it's going thunk, 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 thunk. So do you know what I said to her? I bet you could guess.
More cowbell?
I did. I went, more cowbell. And she turned and laughed, and we had a moment. That was pretty fun.
That's cute. I love it.
And then there was this little girl. This was very cute and sweet. She was like 4 years old, and she had made a sign, her own sign, with crayons and markers. And it was like something, Trump is a bad man, something just very cool, like a 4-year-old would make. And her parents were there with her. She didn't show up on her own. That's good. And I said, okay, this is great. Can I take a picture of her? And she said, oh, we don't let her image go out on social media. And at first I was like, it's okay. I'm not a pedophile. I was like, oh, geez. And then I thought, okay, I totally get it. And I said to them, oh, okay, I totally get it. And I thought, these are the best people ever for protecting their kid in an age where it seems like most people are willing to use their kid for the clicks or the likes or whatever. They are really thoughtful and thinking ahead and doing the right thing and good for you. So there's that.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Then I wondered, typos in signs. I saw somebody that had a big typo in one of their signs, and I thought, do you correct them? Because if you correct them, you're being kind of a dick. But then it also furthers the cause if people see the sign spelled correctly because people think that we have our shit together. Like somebody had the sign, don't loose your freedom. Loose. I didn't point it out. I didn't say, hey, I know you meant lose. You put loose. Now we look like an idiot, kind of. How do you handle that, do you think?
Oh, this is difficult.
It's important not to lose your freedom.
It really is important not to lose your freedom. Yeah. You loosen the reins a little bit. Otherwise, you'll lose them. They'll gallop away. I might politely let them know because I'm one of these annoying people who, if someone is walking around with like their tag hanging out or something, I won't make a big deal about it, but I would very gently and quietly say something to them. But I wouldn't make a spectacle of it. I might slip them a little note, or I wouldn't do anything that would embarrass them in any way, shape, or form, because I believe that feedback should be done in the spirit of helping somebody improve. And so if that's the spirit within which you're doing it, you should do it. So I'd probably tell them.
So you do like to tidy up the loose ends.
Yeah. I don't want people walking around like losers.
Losers.
Yeah, losers.
Okay. And that's good. I didn't think of a good way to do that, but you're right, just privately. But still, they would probably think you're kind of an ass, and that's okay. Hey, you're teaching them.
Just preface it with like, hey, it is not my intention to, or express what my intention is rather than what my intention isn't. And I'll say, hey, I want you to know that my intention is pure and I really just want to help here. But did you mean to spell that as loose?
Maybe there's a meaning I don't get.
Exactly. And they might say yes, because it's actually a quote from a movie or something like that, and that's the joke.
I'm a loose woman. That might be it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Something like that.
Good thought.
So
I also realized that I was a racist and a sexist because I was out there, and remember I told you about the long-haired corgi? I met that corgi the last time. It was so good, and I got to pet the corgi, and it was the best dog ever, and I want to steal this guy's dog, but I won't because that's wrong.
I got you a bumper sticker. Do you know what it says?
Corgis rule?
No, it says corgi butts drive me nuts.
Oh, that's great. So I realized that though that is the case, weeks before on this show, I was talking about the neighborhood corgi that is such an asshole. And the dog is just shitty and barks all the time and it's terrible. And I thought that maybe they were all that way based on the breed. I remember that coming up in the show. And I realized that I was racist against corgis and that shouldn't be the case. Apparently they're not all that way. And I shouldn't be assuming that they're all that way.
They are barky fucks, though.
Not this one. This was the best dog ever.
It was chill. Was it a purebred corgi?
It was very corgi. I didn't ask purebred. I don't need to get into the lineage. I didn't want to get too personal with the guy.
I would have asked to see its fucking papers. Isn't that what we're doing to everyone these days?
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's true.
I wonder what its name was. In my mind, it's Rufus Wainwright III.
Next time I see the corgi and the owner, I will ask and I will find out. And then I realized too that I said, oh, is he petable? And the guy said, yes. And he didn't correct me. Maybe it's a female. Maybe I was being sexist and misgendering his dog. That could be a thing too. So like the loose freedom, I might be that way with the dog. And I'm trying to work that through.
You just assumed the dog's gender.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Well, it's always self-reflection is good. Being self-aware it's good.
It's if I don't change my pet habits that then I'm a terrible person.
Yeah, if you don't change just all of this heavy petting in public, you're going to really get us both in trouble. I've been meaning to talk to you about it for some time.
Well, you can talk to me about these things.
I know, it's a bit handsy with the furry creatures. As you know, this morning, I was at the pet hospital and I was looking forward to seeing you because I met a dog there with the coolest name. Okay, maybe it's not the coolest name, but it takes a lot to surprise me. And I always read the roster because I always want to see what do people call their pets. And I'm always on the search for something that I'm going to find interesting. And I saw this fat mess of like a Chihuahua cross terrier thing. And she'd not a care in the world, cutie patootie, waddling across. And the guy was baby talking to her. And guess what her name is?
I can't even imagine.
Chicken.
Oh, that's weird. Based on last week's show. What the hell?
Exactly.
That's like prophetic or something.
Exactly. And so he's leading her across and he's like, come on, little chicken. That's it, Miss Chicken. Come on, chooky chook chook book book. Come on, chicken chicken. And it's the vet tech. It's not even her pet parent or whatever. And this guy is just loving on this dog and she's just waddling across. Don't even get me started on the fact that I think that dog was there for chemotherapy. And that is something that I don't believe in. I don't believe in chemotherapy for animals. Whole other tangent.
Just based on what? The cost of it, and you don't think it's worth it because you hate all animals, or what is your thinking on that?
Good question. I feel as though in many ways, and again, I am not a doctor. I want to preface this with, I'm not a doctor. I haven't seen all of the animals with all the cancers. However, in consultation with a number of vets, and when some of my pets have had cancer, they haven't known that they have had cancer and they haven't been in pain. But what will almost guarantee that they will be in pain is if you stick a needle in them and then give them poison that's going to make them sick. That is not even guaranteed to fix them. It's just going to prolong their life. It's going to make their life miserable and then prolong it, not necessarily cure it or change the outcome. It's in some ways a very selfish thing for the humans to do for themselves. It's not a treatment option that is a choice that is made for the pet, but it's a choice that's made to keep the pet around for longer for the human. And so I feel like it's selfish and cruel.
Well, the thing I would question is, how do you know it's not going to work? And if you extrapolate that, couldn't you say the same about people? Is the chemo worth it with the people? It might not be, because I lost a friend to cancer, and that certainly worked out that way. But how do you determine that it's not going to work out okay for the pet?
Oftentimes the doctor will tell you that it's not going to stop it. It's just going to, it might give you a few extra months, but they're still going to die. So for example, with one of our pets, we were given the option of doing that. And so I asked the question, is she currently in pain? No. Like, does she know that she has cancer? No. Okay. Would this hurt her? Yes. Would this cure it? No. Would it make her life uncomfortable? Yeah. How much time would she get? Maybe an extra few months. And then in that conversation, it was actually a doctor a vet, who gave me that information. She said that oftentimes she will give that information to pet parents and they will still elect to go and see a veterinary oncologist. And I think it's completely different for humans versus pets. I think there's a lot more medical advancement for humans.
Yeah, I mean, if a doctor tells you that and you still go ahead with it, I think that is selfish and probably not good for anybody, because the worst part of having a pet is that you have to let go 10 years into that relationship and having them in your family. And that's the shitty part. And then you have to evaluate, was it all worth it? And usually it is, because pets are better than people. So
it's so true. But it's interesting. Like, let's talk about the parents taking their kid to the protest. I love that they're not letting their kid have photos of themselves on the internet. That's nice. I don't know if I'd ever take my kid to a protest. It feels dangerous to me.
Anybody going to a protest is dangerous.
You think?
I think of that when I'm standing there and cars are speeding by, and they're usually honking, giving us the thumbs up. But every time a car drives by, I think that could be one of the lunatics that could drive into us at any point.
Exactly. I'm not worried about the people protesting, because I'm like, any protest that I want to go to, I feel like it's a pretty safe bet that I'm going to be surrounded by like-minded individuals that I'd feel safe having my kids around. Cool. But it's the weirdos driving by. It's the people who might choose to come and counter-protest and take issue. Yeah.
I think you kind of have to weigh the negative of what could happen versus the values that you're instilling in them and the lesson that you should stand up for what you believe and fight for what you believe, especially when it's an important time in our country. I think that is something that you have to get your head around, and I think that's probably what those parents did.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's the proximity to the cars, I think, that is the thing for me. Like, for example, I think our whole family would go and, like, march against changes to marriage laws and that kind of things. Like, cool. Or go to a public demonstration where there wasn't cars whizzing by. That is something about the popping up at a Tesla dealership that feels different to me. I don't know. There's something about it in my brain that feels more dangerous. I don't know why.
Well, and maybe it's because there are people in cars and because just how crazy the lunatics on the other side are and what we've seen from them before. I get the point. I just feel like probably if I had a kid, they'd be out there with me. I'd be really extra paranoid and maybe standing back a little bit more. But I would absolutely take my kid to that because I feel like, okay, that's going to be a lesson that's instilled in them and they're going to be better adults when they get there. And it's part of the whole thing. And it's kind of like, okay, if you don't do that, how protective are you going to be generally in life and how much of a helicopter are you going to be? I don't know.
True.
All right. So this week I was reminded that I just hate April Fool's Day. It's just the worst thing ever. I was going through
dumb
stuff on the internet yesterday, and all these tech companies are doing their dumb April Fool's posts. And, oh, we're putting this out now. Oh, are you? Yeah, I'm completely fooled by your shitty product. Shut up. I'm tired of the April Fools. It's a waste of everyone's dumb time. And I hate the fact that it happens during daylight savings time. We need to stop the daylight savings time. We all voted on this like years ago, didn't we? Trump, you son of a bitch, you want to do something good for once? Throw a little temper tantrum about daylight savings time. Do something that the country agrees with what you're doing. And we don't want it anymore. I don't like that it's 9 o'clock at night and it's bright outside. I like some darkness. I like having a normal day-night cycle, and we need to get back to that. Let's go. What are we doing next? We're falling back next. Next time we fall back, and all of us collectively as people, whether there's a law or not, we just say we are not going to change. We just all make a collective agreement that we're not going back on the time anymore, and we're all going to operate on this time. And if people don't like it, F it, they can fire us. You say, okay, I'm showing up an hour or early or late to work. Next time in 6 months, it's going to be different. It's all going to balance out. If you're not going to change, we're not changing. We are the ones. We are the time freedom fighters.
Time freedom fighters. The annoying thing about working in a global job as well is that daylight savings happens all over the world at different times, and it can really mess up meeting times and your overlap with other countries that you work with. So it can be the difference between whether or not I have to work until 9 p.m. or 11 p.m.
And how do you keep track of all of it?
And that fucks me off.
Yeah.
It's World Clock Meeting Planner, not sponsored of the show, friend of the show, because I live there a lot of the time trying to sort things out. I will say, I hate April Fool's Day. It's dumb. But there is one thing that was done on April Fool's Day this year that I enjoyed, mostly due to the reaction of my neighbours. So we have a community forum, and there are a bunch of old buildings, you know, like an old Burger King building and a bunch of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's always wondering, what's going to go in there? What's going to go in there? And so one of my neighbours, under the cover of darkness, went and erected this sign out the front, which I thought was amazing. And it says, "Coming soon, strip club." And it has a massive picture of a pink a lady on a pole.
Is this really in
says-
your neighborhood?
Yes, it's really cold beer, alcohol, naked women.
Because I've
and
heard of
it's-
this being done as a joke before. That's great.
And they put it on the community forum. There's like 72 comments. And my neighbors have really gotten into it, including like amazing posts like this, just images of big ladies swinging on things saying,
It says,
mind your business.
I need eggs. And there's a silhouette of a big woman in eggs.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really good. It's bringing the community together despite their political differences. Everyone is really supportive of a strip club being erected next to the elementary school. So that was funny.
Well, I am bothered that nobody fell for it, because that would be the fun part of the story. Nobody got pissed off and was starting a protest for that or anything? Or
There were a few people, but then it was very quickly corrected. And there was a few
people let them in
people-
on the joke. That's the key. You don't let them in on the joke too quick.
Yeah, exactly. And then, there are a few blowhards and know-it-alls who are like, actually, blah, 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 blah. And a few people were like, oh, it got me for a second and blah, blah, blah. And then other people are chiming in going, I hope they're going to have a buffet. And, people are just piling on. It was really funny.
Like, if people figure it out, it's not a good April Fool's joke. If you can do it and get away with it, it's a good joke, but nobody does. They just, as corporations, put these stupid things out, and they're just completely transparent. And it's like, oh, why are you wasting my time? I did one on the radio one time long ago that went pretty well. I recorded a fake conversation with a woman, and I started up a song, and then I played back that conversation. And in that conversation, it was like she and I were having an affair, and she was cheating on her husband, and I was going to come by later. And it was this kind of hushed conversation that I pretended got on the air that shouldn't be on the air over a song. And most people fell for it. And that was pretty good.
Oh my goodness.
And
That's
you
insane.
don't let people know right away. You let it run for a little while. And that was good. Because at one point, the general manager came to me and he went, did something go out earlier? And I said, yeah, don't worry about it. And then he went, oh, okay. Then he got it.
Funny. But there's a bunch of people in there that are like raging, and then people are like, April Fools.
And it's funny that yesterday morning when I wake up and start looking at stuff, I don't even remember that it's April 1st. And then I see these terrible things. And I'm like, oh, it's April Fool's Day. Okay, enough said. Just stop it.
Why are people wishing me a happy April Fool's Day as well? Like it's something that I celebrate.
It's a
That's what I
holiday.
don't- As if it's some kind of holiday. I
Take
mean,
the day off.
I am a bit of a fool, but it's not the day of my people. Like,
You haven't
I'm
heard
not-
about that tradition? You put on big clown feet and a big red nose and you take the day off and walk around town?
No, I talk about my run for president. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Find your biggest
No
fuckwit
worse than what we've got.
and decide today is the day.
Yeah,
Announcing my candidacy.
that would be great.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see who is going to come out of the woodwork to run for president next time. I was thinking about that yesterday while I was driving around, just shaking my head just at the lunacy of it all.
Well, it's going to be our California Gavin Newsom, who is a car salesman. He's better than Trump, but he's a car salesman.
I wonder if we're going to fight fire with fire. This
For
may
once,
sound
that
silly.
would be great.
And what I mean by that is, are we going to see the Swift Knowles ticket? I sound like some kind of boxing compere when I say this, but are we going to do that? Are we going to see Kylie Kelsey for president? I don't know. Like, what's going on there? Who is it going to be?
Anybody but Trump. That's the way it goes. Let's get one thing out there plain and clear. They go low, we go high has never worked.
Never worked.
It's not working. You have to be as brutal and shitty as they are being. At least when you're being brutal and shitty, you're doing it for a good cause. Us trying to do the right thing and trying to be nice about it and, oh, well, we'll just point out their inadequacies. It doesn't work. We have to be motherfuckers this time around. And that is the only thing that's going to work. I'm sorry that that's the case. That is the culture we're living in. That is our internet culture. It's the only thing that seems to hit home, but that's what we have to do. And when we have people like Chuck Schumer just deciding not to vote to take things on and just kind of go along with it like happened 2 weeks ago, nothing changes. Nothing is going to get done. So anybody that hears this, fight because we have to. And then I wondered, your situation, you're now a legal citizen. Could you run for president? I don't even know the laws on that.
Ah, good question. No, I can't because I've been naturalized. But one of my sons could because he was born here. You have to be born here in order to be allowed to run for president. Ironically, there was a moment where Trump was talking about ending birthright citizenship, and he still might. And if he rolled back birthright citizenship, there would be one of our sons who could theoretically lose his citizenship for a minute while we brought him in.
What would you do if that happened? Would you go back to Australia until it got sorted out, or how would you handle that? Because you don't want your kid dragged into a Guantanamo jail or anything.
No, so technically the day that you become a citizen, so does your child, but they make you pay a lot of money for the piece of paper. And it's more than $1,000. It's $1,300. And you're not allowed to leave the country as a US citizen without a US passport because you're not allowed to come back in. So even though we have Australian passports, so it's a huge money-making machine as well.
Well, now they're going to have that $5 million golden ticket too. Did you hear about that?
I did hear about
that.
How
gross is that?
It's so gross.
Ugh.
It's so gross.
Like, it completely just whore out and sell our country. Why don't you go ahead and do that?
It's insane.
The rumor going around now, too, is that Elon is going to step down in a couple months, and that is already in the works. And they're going to
made enough money.
Yeah, exactly. And fuck things up enough. And they're going to say that, oh, it was a temporary thing, and he accomplished everything that he needed to accomplish in success. And everybody just keep not buying Teslas. And I don't know if we still need to protest at that point, the Tesla dealerships. I just want him to go bankrupt and to lose his ass and to be the poor, pathetic piece of shit of a human being he is. That would be great. I don't like to wish, well, no, I do. I like to wish ill on people. I've decided I'll do that. It's worth it.
Yeah, he's a tosspot.
Let's talk about the rehooterization that's going on in this country. It's a very big thing that's going on.
Yeah, rehooterization. You know, I really thought that Twin Peaks was going to oust Hooters, but here we are. It's a Hooters resurgence.
Hooters has filed for bankruptcy and is now rebranding. Oh, we're going to rebrand. I'm tired of people's brands. Not everybody has a brand. Shut up about your brand. But they are getting rid of bikini nights. They're changing their uniforms. They're making everything way more family friendly. And they're doing this to completely avoid losing their ass. And I think that this is a bad move. You and I are marketing geniuses. We could work this out. I think that you're going one way or another. They were the other extreme before. Now they're going family friendly. I say you do both. If you do both, it's more mass appeal. How are you feeling about this?
I mean, definitely. And I know we're both on the same page because we usually are. And so we're definitely thinking this, right? Which is it's mascots, but with the privates cut out. Right?
My notes here are do it like Chuck E. Cheese with tits and ass.
See, I knew we'd be on the same page.
It's absolutely true. You do. You have the animals as servers. You make them be.
I thought you said you've got the animals, which are the patrons, and then
the servers are fun animal mascot type characters with their boobs and ass hanging out. And that way, when they're coming table to table, the kids enjoy it because, hey, look, they're big, friendly mascots. And then dad is like, hey, look at that. I got that going on. I'm enjoying this. And then also equality for the ladies and the gay guys. You get Johnny Thundercat. He's a lion with a big swinging dong. Of course, he'll have a Speedo on, but then everybody's included and you have both sides of it. The family friendly and something for dad and other horny people in the audience.
Perfect.
You know.
The thing that I'm wondering is why Hooters is going bankrupt and they're still opening Twin Peaks.
I heard about Twin Peaks, and I think that's an East Coast thing because I didn't know a lot about it. I didn't hear about that until this story.
It must
Are those
be
back there?
East Coast. They're in the South as well, but it's
Okay.
Hooters. It's essentially Hooters, but just mountain themed.
And the name is just so dumb. Twin Peaks.
It's-
Get it? Get it?
Get it? Yeah, but it's exactly the same concept.
Yeah. It's Twin Peaks. Our address is 69 First Avenue. Get it?
Get it?
Dumb stuff like that.
It's so cliche and stupid.
Yeah.
But Hooters is even big in Asia.
Well, and their food is really not good, I think, is what I've heard too. It's like
never
typical crap TGI Fridays,
Gross.
but kind of worse food. And who wants that? Maybe they should look at
No,
that.
TGI Fridays is gross. Although I do like their mozzarella sticks and their potato skins. Okay.
Aren't they really greasy, though? When I just hear the name TGI Fridays, I think of grease.
It is the word. The word that you heard. It's,
Grease is the word.
yeah.
Beauty school dropout. No graduation day for you. I'm going through Grease in my head because I was like 4 years old going to see Grease, and I was into Olivia Newton-John at that point, too.
Look at me. I'm Sandra Dee. Lousy with virginity.
What
Well,
was
go to bed,
Remember Rizzo?
Yeah, Rizzo.
Yeah, Rizzo.
Pinky. Great movie. The first one is better than the second one.
Oh, yeah. The second one is total crap. And also
Crap.
Olivia
Crap all
Newton-John in spandex. Every young boy enjoys that.
Not anymore. Not
Spandex is out?
No, I mean Olivia Newton-John is.
Wow. Yeah. Let's not get into that.
But that's exactly what I was saying.
Thank God they wasted the cancer research on her that you were so against earlier.
Well, as you know, our government has had its way. We don't do cancer research anymore. So
Sorry, Olivia.
sorry, Olivia. Well,
And
grim.
then the final thing for Hooters is they could have part animatronic characters as the band like they had with Chuck
Yeah.
E. Cheese. They have those, but then they also turn it into a strip club.
Definitely.
Girls dancing around to the animatronics. Bring the kids, too. Also in the news, Trump got hit in the face with a microphone. Not hard enough, unfortunately, but here is the story from Inside Edition.
Oh no, right in the kisser.
Oh no, I love the voiceover on this news report.
MAGA World is up in arms today after the bonk by a boom mic seen round the world.
Trump totally side-eyes this person that hits him in the face with the boom mic. And now there's this picture of Trump with that little ex-kid walking out to the helicopter, and the kid
yeah.
is bouncing along. And I need to know, tell me real, tell me true. Is it bad of me to hate that little fucking kid? Because I hate that kid so much. I don't know that I have reason to. I hate him.
It's bad to hate the kid.
Why?
The kid's done nothing wrong.
He
The
just seems
kid's
like such a
innocent.
little arrogant fucker like his father is the way he seems.
Yeah, I mean the kid's innocent. The kid doesn't know what's going on.
I feel like the kid is Damien and he knows what's going on and he's a little shitbag like his father. But okay, I'll take your advisement on that.
It happened as Trump left the White House en route to Mar-a-Lago with Elon Musk's little boy X merrily hopping along beside him.
And this little hop is annoying.
They flew to Joint Base Andrews, where Trump stopped to speak to reporters before taking off. The president was momentarily taken aback by the boink and gives the reporter holding the mic some serious side-eye.
Have you ever been taken aback by the boink?
More than once.
I like that they phrased it that way. He was taken aback by the boink.
He was taken aback by the boink.
You don't want to be boinked, and if you are, you're a little bit taken aback.
Taken aback by the boink. Don't want to take a boink in the back.
Never, ever.
No one wants a surprise boinking in the back.
Surprise
Let me
boink.
tell you.
Don't want that. And if you do, you are for sure taken aback.
Yeah,
What just
exactly.
happened there?
Yeah, that happens in prison, I'll have you know.
Oh, That's another thing. In my notes here, I've been getting reports that we need to bring Ass Rape Island back. People say that the old concept on the show that I had of Ass Rape Island, and I don't want to get too far into it, but it's called Ass Rape Island, and it's a mystical place that you can probably imagine, a place where you put really bad people, and you could probably imagine what happens on Ass Rape Island and who should go to Ass Rape Island. I'm not going to point out specifics at this point in American history, but people have said, hey, bring back Ass Rape Island, so we could talk about it.
Is that a place where one could get a boink in the back?
I don't know. We'd have to investigate.
Oh, no.
But
a boom mic is actually rather heavy, but he's also a hero. But there's one thing that I just can't get past. As a mother, I don't know how old little X is. He's between the ages of 2 and 3. I think maybe he's around 3
I was going to guess
years old
17, but you know better than I do.
Where are his parents? And why is he traveling unaccompanied with another man on a fucking helicopter with one of the world's biggest military targets? If I was his mother or father, one, I wouldn't be letting him travel around with somebody who isn't his family member, without an aide, without a nanny, without help, or without me. And 2, certainly not with someone who half of the world wants to be killed.
You're also allowing him to travel with a man who has Epstein associations. And don't know that there's anything going on there in the past, but there were Epstein associations. So, I'd be extra cautious, along with everything you just said.
Yeah.
All right, so more of the boinking here.
The president was momentarily taken aback by the boink and gives the reporter holding the mic some serious side-eye. She apologizes, and he appears to shake it off, even cracking wise.
To get the hospitals back.
He said she just made television tonight.
She just became a big story tonight. Right?
Yes, sir.
Did you see that?
This is the same boom that hit.
Oh, and now they do the reenactment. She's standing on the side of the road with the boom mic, and she's going to explain to everybody exactly how it went down. It's kind of like the Zapruder film.
This was not an assassination attempt.
Right. But there's conspiracy theories. There sure
boom
are.
Didn't come from a fucking grassy knoll, okay? Yeah. It came from an overworked junior reporter who probably had a fatigued arm, or who was probably bored off their fucking tits looking somewhere else and accidentally let it slip.
Now they're saying it was intentional. There's that theory.
Who cares?
She's going to point out exactly how it went down and what happened. And somebody was in the goddamn grassy knoll with the boom mic.
The president, it's very soft and likely did not hurt. It's made from soft plastic and covered with this furry cover to protect the microphone underneath.
They call that a dead cat.
From the wind, the reporter had it on a long extension arm, which likely made it difficult to control, especially on a windy day.
Okay.
The mic smack sure looked like an accident, but some of his most rabid supporters are crying foul. They claim without evidence that the reporter hit Trump on purpose.
Oh, do you think this woman did it on purpose? I'm taking opinions.
Did it on purpose. Oh, the huge manatee. Fucking idiots.
Everything is a plot. Everything is intentional.
Some are actually urging she be charged with assault or stripped of her White House press credentials.
Oh, no.
So who is the reporter? She's Danielle Kurtzleben, a political correspondent.
First off, that is a great name. Danielle Kurtzleben.
So who is the reporter? She's Danielle Kurtzleben, a political correspondent for NPR. Kurtzleben
It's the fact that she's for NPR, and that's why everybody is so pissed off, because NPR has their senses and they're on the left.
Kurtzleben has shut down her social media accounts and did not respond to several requests for comment.
Obviously, you're.
And there's the end, the brilliant reporting of Inside Edition.
I hope that Kurtzleben comes out and, she's got some sort of medical condition or something, and everyone's going to feel
Parkinson's, and she shook and accidentally.
Parkinson's or something. Like I hope she doesn't have it, but I hope it's something as simple as her arm was tired or something happened.
And if that were the case, he would just make fun of her as being spazzy anyway, and it would be his way to do that. So
yeah, exactly. If this was a Drive Time radio show, I would dedicate the next song to her, and the song would be boom operator. She's just a boom operator. But unfortunately it isn't, so I'll just have to serenade her instead. Poor
Other
Kurt
important
Slavin.
news. This is AI of the dead.
Didn't see that coming.
Get ready for
Amazing.
this creepiness. Suzanne Summers passed away 2 years ago, but her widower, Alan Hamill, has worked with a company to create a twin of his late wife. I am working with Hollow, an AI company, to create Suzanne AI. It's very exciting to think about being able to interact with Suzanne's twin. Plus, I'm hoping one day I'll get to fuck it, Hamill said. That last sentence I might have put in there. He didn't actually say that.
I was about to say, one
I
more
think
time for the dummies. Are you sure
probably.
he actually said that? I distinctly remember him
I
saying
think that's what
finger.
he's thinking. That's if I was guessing, it's not an actual quote. If I was guessing, I think that's what he's thinking. They created a robot-looking thing that doesn't even look like her. It happens to be blonde, but that's the only resemblance. And then at a recent AI conference, Hamill was a guest speaker and did a demonstration with the Suzanne robot, and boy, it's just like she's almost there. A little bit hard to hear for you. It'll come up more when I do the processing on the end, but here's Alan Hamill being creepy with a Suzanne Summers AI.
Does the name Alan Hamill mean anything to you?
Of course. Alan Hamill is my husband of 55 wonderful years. He's my partner in everything, from life to love, and we've shared so many beautiful memories together. Do you have a favorite memory of us?
What's your favorite memory that we shared?
Oh, there are so many. One of my favorites is when Alan and I were filming a cooking segment together a long time ago. We had a little mishap with the blender. Let's just say it didn't go as planned, and we ended up wearing more to the smoothie than we actually made. We laughed so hard, and it became a running joke in our house. It's those lighthearted moments that really...
So the robot tells a story of when they were on a cooking show and got milkshake all over them. And boy, it just sounded real and natural, didn't it?
Aw. Despite the fact that that gives me nightmares, and the thought process of that is just terrible. The flip side of it is, I feel so sorry for that man.
I felt bad for him putting this
so-
together, but
He must feel so lonely. He must really miss his wife, to be so devastated at the loss, to just dedicate his life now to trying to get her back. And he never will. And I think that is the real tragedy in this, right? It will always be just out of reach because he'll never be able to recreate that. AI, it's just a cover band, right? And so it is just fucked up Teddy Ruxpin. Okay, it's just
that's kind of what this robot looks like, by the way.
Playing
if you
the
put a
hits.
Suzanne Summers mask on Teddy Ruxpin, that's what you got.
exactly. Although she doesn't have the tape, so you're not rewinding it. Doesn't get that weird thing, and she's not blinking. For those of you old enough to know what Teddy Ruxpin is, but yeah, far out.
I get the sadness of it,
heartbreaking.
and I thought of that, but also that doesn't make it any less creepy. And would you want to do this, or would you want to maybe go to see somebody to deal with your horrible emotional attachment that you're having trouble letting go with, is what I put out there.
Is there a third option, which is not do either?
I get that we feel bad for him, but he's also doing really gross, creepy stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Would you ever bring back your dead husband if your husband died? Let's say the technology was really there and they could make it just like he was, but I wouldn't either.
No.
I wouldn't bring back your husband.
No way. No. And only because I wouldn't be bringing back my husband.
Right.
We've all seen the movie Pet Sematary, right?
Sometimes dead is better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's because you wouldn't be actually bringing them back. You would be bringing back some sort of fucked up, poor substitute. And I feel like it would actually corrupt the memories. Like, look at that experience that we just witnessed, right? You've got him interacting with the robot, and now, instead of organically remembering that moment in his mind, now polluting the memory of the cooking show and the smoothie, he has fucked up Teddy Ruxpin recounting the memory on stage with him, polluting that I don't want that. I'd rather keep the original rather than have, a bad cover band mess up my real experience of it.
Do you think that this is based on emotional attachment, or do you think that he's doing this based on a business and money-making opportunity? Because if that's the case, it's even worse to me.
I think it's probably both.
Yeah.
And he probably has access to and probably had access to the material. I wouldn't be surprised if we went and found out that she had some sort of long-term debilitating illness and the last years of her life were spent doing thousands and thousands of hours of reading and retelling stories into a recording device, just speaking ad nauseum into a tool.
And that's where they're getting this for this robot. That could be.
And because he owns it and because it's his wife and she's now deceased and he has full rights to it, that's why she is the object of said thing. That's just a guess, and maybe I'm a sour old bitch. Well, I definitely am. I'm also cynical. What I meant to say is maybe I'm cynical. I know I'm definitely a sour old bitch, but maybe I'm cynical. Maybe. I reckon that's what's going on.
Cynicism nowadays is super healthy. That's what I find.
Yeah.
It's
I like to
better to
describe
be
myself
that way.
as cautiously optimistic. But, Christmas tree. Oh, Christmas tree. That's me right now. Last blinking light of optimism is fizzling.
Pessimistic.
Yeah, exactly. It's fighting. But
And maybe it's dark and shitty, but I feel like it's better to expect the worst. That is my mode of operating. I expect the worst and I plan for it and I process it all out and I figure out what I'm going to do if and when that happens. And then if it doesn't happen, I'm pleasantly surprised. And I feel like that at least mentally works for me. But then people would say that if you're expecting that, then you're creating negativity and you're manifesting that and you're bringing it all on yourself. And that's your own fault for doing that. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know if I believe in manifesting things either, by the way. I know it works for some people.
I don't believe in The Secret.
Oh, I saw that book the other day at a book exchange and I was wondering what it was. And now you've just said that, the synapses in my brain are firing and I'm like, oh my God, The Secret, manifesting. Oh, it's like I've just put the final puzzle piece into the puzzle. I know.
Blame Oprah for so many things.
I mean, so many things. I blame her for Dr. Phil, Gail King.
Dr. Oz.
Fuck that guy.
Did you see the other night she was on TV with a big special on menopause? It's her fault that we have menopause in this country.
Feels like a stretch.
All right. Maybe not.
Maybe not. But yeah.
Yeah, she
man.
did. She had a big special the other night talking to women about menopause. And I thought, okay, that's kind of weird,
interesting.
but I guess good that people are talking about it if you need to talk about it.
I think it is good to talk about it. We don't talk about it a lot, but it makes people crazy.
Well, women, usually.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But men go through something similar too.
Really?
Yeah, like massive reductions in testosterone level
Oh.
that impacts on their mental health and all sorts of things. Absolutely. Hormones are incredibly important for us as human beings, and the ebb and the flow and everything that happens, it impacts on our behavior, our mental health, just the way that we feel, everything. And for some women, transitioning back to perimenopause and menopause, for some women, that transition can be so debilitating. It impacts on their ability to hold down a job, to protect and maintain the relationships that they have, yada, 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 yada. And for some men who have like low testosterone and that sort of stuff, they really struggle as well. There's a new trend, right? And the biggest growing area is for men in hormonal health, where men are starting to go and get testosterone supplements.
See, and
that sort of stuff.
I had in my head to ask as you came to the end of that sentence, that is hormone therapy a good way to go because it helps you, or are we screwing with nature and should we just leave it alone and let things happen the way they're meant to happen? Which is better, do you think?
I have not decided for myself personally yet. Because I haven't done enough research. I am not yet faced with that. But I do know that let's just say from a professional perspective, in the workplace, there's this ongoing trope that women are emotional, women are unstable, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. In my experience, I find that to be fucking bullshit. Men are just as emotional, if not more emotional, rage and all that sort of stuff in the workplace. If you want to find the least emotional, most even-keeled, reliable person, find a post-menopausal woman and put her in charge of it. Bitch gonna get shit done. She's gonna show up. She's gonna be chill. People are going to enjoy working with her. And so just purely from once you get to that point, life seems to be pretty good perspective, and for everyone around you, at some point, I think it's good to be in that zone.
What do you think pre-menopausal?
Pre-menopause, as somebody who is in there, I am not ruled by, but I can definitely know where I am in my cycle, and I use it to manage my energy. I will make decisions around whether or not I'm going to make decisions, whether or not I'm going to do certain things, depending on where I'm at in my cycle. So, for example, if I am in the 7 days before I'm due to have my period, I'm not going to make any big life decisions because I'm probably not in my right mind.
Do you think that most women operate that way?
No.
Right.
No, most women, for anyone who's listening, if you're PMSing right now, you're probably going to want to hunt me down and stab me in my eyeballs. But they do not want to hear that. They don't want to hear that.
Right.
They do not want to hear that at all.
As a guy, am very much on the edge of saying I've had interactions with women where I'm like, oh my God, you're reacting that way right now. And I've had reactions in business where I'm like, okay, you're not looking at the facts. You're just being reactionary and you're doing this based on feelings rather than facts. And I don't know how to bring that across because I'm not really allowed to. I think that can happen sometimes. And I don't want to be the sexist dude. I think women can do the job as good or better than men a lot of times, but I've seen that.
Yeah. And I think that scenario that you're describing can happen on both sides of the fence,
True.
right?
Very true.
But as a woman or as women, you get to know yourself. And, it happens to men as well. And there are different times in your life and different times in the month. And if you're in a relationship with a partner and all of these sorts of things, when you exercise, what food you eat, all of these sorts of things impact on your hormone levels. And I pay close attention to mine because I have a lot of responsibility at work. I'm responsible for a lot of people, and the decisions that I make matter, and the way that I treat people matters. And I'm one of these people that really believes that when you say something, you can't take it back. Once it leaves your mouth, it's said. So there have been times where if I ever feel myself going, I would like to hurt this person's feelings, that's so not like me. I'm like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm sick in the head. I must be PMSing. And then I'll go and look. I have one of those Aura rings. And so I'll go and I'll have a look at my app and it'll be like, sure enough, due for my period. My husband has access to my app as well. It's like an early
That's a
warning
good idea.
system. Yep. And that helps me as well to be like, this is a genuine reaction, because often my reactions and stuff they're genuine, but they can be heightened, or I can be less calm around things. I can get from 0 to 100 really quick, whereas maybe I'd have whatever.
I have a thing on my watch, my Apple Watch, for cycle tracking, and it's completely inaccurate. I don't know what the fuck it's saying.
Inaccurate.
Like,
You haven't had a period
now is the
in
time? Sure.
40 years. Yeah.
And then I get
Outrageous.
pissed, and then I have to wonder, is it just me?
Is it just me? But if you use your sleep tracking.
But then I have to sleep with my watch on, and I can't do that.
I can't do that either. So, okay, that's why I got this, because I don't like sleeping with anything, so I wear the Aura ring because it's the only thing I can wear while I'm sleeping.
Yeah, I can't wear rings either. Jewelry at all I can't have on me when I'm sleeping.
I got this for Mother's Day. I wear one of these sort of petite necklaces that all the Gen Z girls are wearing because my son's got it for me for Mother's Day last year.
Yeah.
And I put it on and then I just never took it off, mostly because my fingers are too fat and I can't get it off.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, that's how they get you. It's like a
Wear it
dog
forever.
collar. Yeah, exactly. It's actually a tracking mechanism. If I try to make a run for it or put myself out on the curb like an old Christmas tree, they'll know where to find me. I can never escape. This is my life now. I'm either here or at the animal hospital. But yes.
And on that note, we will end it because this has been another show.
Yeah, I'm ready to fucking end it.
Don't do it. Don't Christmas tree yourself. It'll all be okay one day.
It'll be fine. Oh, it's always so good to see you. I hope you have an absolute cracking week.
I'll be cracking away. You too.
Okay, you know how this goes. Like us, subscribe, tell your friends, write a nice review, engage with us. We're Total Babble on Instagram, on Facebook, on Threads, and on Blue Sky. Email is show@totalbabble.com. The Total Babble Podcast.